Hi, Tinterweb. Okay, tough subject, but it's got to be talked about because I want to help other people in similar circumstances. For the past literally a year, slightly longer than that, probably nearly 13 months now, I've been going through the PIP, Personal Independence Payment System. I was on PIP, and then they did a thing where every few years they check on your circumstances to make sure they haven't changed, and they decide, you send back a form to them, and then they decide if you are to continue with payments. They decided that I was no longer disabled, I no longer needed payments. I then did a mandatory reconsideration for that, which again I failed. I'm getting 0 points, nil point, which if you've read my blog or watch any of my vlogs or anything, you know that I'm far from 0 points. It would be nice if I was in a place where I could have 0 points. That would be a dream come true. I could have a 9-to-5 job like everyone I know. Getting a little emotional now thinking about the concept. I could live a normal life, but I'm never going to be in that position. I unfortunately have some very serious, incurable mental and physical conditions. So after my mandatory reconsideration, they then gave me one of these medical assessments. I failed, nil point. And then I had to appeal against that decision. And the appeal has, we went to a courthouse, which is terrifying, and sat in front of 3 complete strangers, which is terrifying. One of which was a judge. So I'm at a courthouse with a judge, feeling a bit like a criminal. I'm laughing about it now, but honestly at the time it was absolutely terrifying, and I literally said that to them. I said, look, no offence, but I kind of feel like a criminal right now. And they reassured me, no, you're not a criminal. It's just that they have 3 people that were there that one was a medical professional, like a nurse or a doctor or something, and one was a judge, and one was a something else. I don't know, but there were 3 people, and they all had different expertise, and they'd all read my 400-page, it's literally that thick, of information from my medical history, my therapy, my medication, my entire life of medical history is a ridiculously long document. And they all read it. I didn't even read all of it. We got it in the post. We got a copy of it in the post so that we could prepare ourselves for the meeting, and we didn't really read it. I didn't read it because I was scared of it. Who wants to read a 400-page document about themselves? I certainly don't. But we also missed the opportunity to send them further evidence, because we've had medical assessments since then, and photographs and videos and stuff like that that we both, my partner and I, thought that would be good evidence, but we both lost track of time. He works, I'm me, and we both lost track of time. Before we knew it, there was a week to go until the hearings, so we weren't able to send any more evidence. But we didn't really need to, because when we got there, and we sat down and we talked to them, it was all very, very scary, very long-winded. It took about half an hour. But they weren't too intimidating. I mean, they were very official, they weren't personal about it. I mentioned, being sexually assaulted, and they weren't oh, we're so sorry, or anything like that. It's all very, very professional, and, but they have to be impartial, so that's completely understandable. They are not part of the DWP. They are independent. which is, I appreciate that, because I don't know how true it is, but a lot of people say that the DWP, Department for Work and Pensions, employees are encouraged to give people no points. You know, they're encouraged to do the medical assessment and then just mark someone as perfectly healthy. And that happens to thousands of people every year, apparently. And I don't know how true that is. I've read articles about it, but I don't know how true that is. I don't know. But from my personal experience, obviously getting 0 points several times from several different assessors, it is true. That said, I'm going to give you some pointers now. I'm going to give you some tips, because I passed. They did the hearing, and we talked about our history and stuff, and basically I think the general consensus, what we came across, was that I wasn't being clear enough when I was describing. There was a lot of confusion when I was talking about my medical conditions and the things that I've been through, and the treatment I was getting and stuff like that. There was a lot of confusion with the lady that gave me my medical assessment. They were reading through her notes, and they're like, "This is rather contradictory to what you're telling me, right? Like what you're telling us right now." And so we sort of went through the timeline of the past few years, and really went through it with a thin comb, as it were, and sort of went, okay, at this point this happened, and at this point this happened, and then I went and got this treatment, and so on and so forth. And so we had a timeline, and we realised what had gone wrong in my medical assessment. Like, I mentioned the fact that I'd been out of the house and got groceries once, and it was the first time that I'd done that in like 2-3 years, and how proud I was of that. And so she put on the medical assessment that I'm perfectly capable of going out and getting groceries on my own, which is not true, because I haven't done that since, and that was a year ago. So yes, it's I think you've got to be really, really clear when you're doing your assessment. Really make sure that they are understanding everything that you are saying. She was getting times confused. She was getting medical conditions confused. She was getting people confused. Like, she was talking about the man who tried to sexually assault me. No, did sexually assault me. It's complicated. That guy was listed as my ex-boyfriend, which is not true at all. And so that's just one example of the confusion. You can never have too much evidence. I had 400 pages of it. Most people probably don't have 400 pages of evidence. And obviously we had more evidence that we could have sent them. But honestly, I feel like if you are genuinely physically and or mentally disabled, as long as you are very honest about it, it helps to have someone representing you as well. I had my partner there with me, and he did like 90% of the talking, because I am not good with strangers. This is fine. I can talk to you, whoever you are, because I can't see you. I'm just talking to myself at the moment. It's quite easy. Whereas sitting in front of 1 or 3 complete strangers and talking about how messed up you are is not fun. So yes, having someone there, it's actually a fact. There are case studies about this. They tell you to do this at the Citizens Advice Bureau. It helps with your PIP application if somebody else files the application for you, because it shows that you need help. So if you can, like I felt dishonest doing that. Like, I did the application myself because I am capable of filling in a form on my own. It was probably very difficult to read, so it might have done some good to get somebody else to write it for me, to be quite honest. But, you know, I wanted to be independent. I wanted to fill in that form on my own. But top tip, get someone else to fill in the form for you. Get someone to come to the medical assessments with you, to the hearing with you. Get them to talk on your behalf as much as possible. You know, it just... They're like a witness, you know. Someone that's able to back up your claims, and not just someone on paper. That's someone that's actually there, which helps. So the whole thing has been so stressful, so upsetting, not just for me, but for my partner as well. Because for the past year, I've had to be a lot more financially dependent on him than on myself. Sorry, very emotional. There will be a time, I hope, when I don't have to be on PIP. That would be really nice. That is the dream world for me. I want to be working, and I mean, technically you can work and be on PIP as well. But in that scenario, I would want to be working and be on like the lowest possible level of PIP, you know, because I'm able to go out on my own and get groceries on my own and go to London on my own to visit my family, and I don't have... my body functions without complaint and stuff like that. You know, I've got such a long list of problems. Some of them are curable, some of them are fixable. What I loved about the end of the assessment actually is one, that they told us the decision there and then. We didn't have to wait for weeks or months for the decision. It just, bam, straight away they're like, okay, we can give you our decision now. So that was a huge load off our mind. To be honest, even if we'd been rejected, it would still have been a load off our mind instead of having to wait weeks or months for the decision. So I really appreciated that. And secondly, when the assessment was done, they told us how much money to expect, which is quite a big number, because I'm due a year of payments. So that's going to make like a huge difference in our life. We're both discussing like what to do with that money when it comes through, things that will help with my mental and physical health, really. You know, we've even talked about days out, like, because I don't go out, but you know, like a trip to a zoo or something, you know, like it'd be good for me. I'm sure I'll be initially terrified, but then I'll be enjoying the animals, you know. Thing is, I'm listed as agoraphobic, but I don't think I'm scared of going out. I think I'm scared of the people outside. Like, because the people that come into my home are welcome here. They are my friends and my family, or they are police or ambulance, who have visited here far too many times. But, you know, they are trusted people. I don't get strangers come to my door, generally speaking. Well, you do, obviously, strangers, ambulance and police, they will be strangers, but they have ID and everything. They are official, they are trusted by the government and so on. As opposed to when I go out of the house and I'm going outside and everyone is new and scary. You know? Anyway, so we're going to use that money for good, I hope. I'm probably going to donate a lot of it to charity as well. Again, if you are a subscriber, you know what I'm like. I'm probably going to get back to the whole £1 to charity everyday thing. Might even make it more than that because I can afford it again. For the past year, I haven't been able to donate to charities, you know. I see a homeless person on the street and I want to give them money, but I can't. It's like I can't even pay my own bills. I can't feed myself, let alone this poor man on the street, you know, so I'm really looking forward to that. So yes, they told us the amount that was due. And point 3, and I think this is actually the most important point at the end of the session, was the medical person, the lady, I don't know if she was a psychiatrist or therapist or nurse or I'm sure they mentioned what her profession is, but I can't remember. But she obviously knew what she was talking about, and she'd read all my file, and she'd listened to everything that I said, and she gave me advice before we left. You know, she said, okay, you need to get into therapy. You were in therapy before, and it helped, and you got better, and then this traumatic event happened, and it put you in full reverse, and that's why we're here, because you've got worse again. In fact, judging by the rates that they've put me on, I am worse off now than I have ever been. Yay! Which in itself is quite upsetting. Something traumatic happened to me last year. I won't go into it, but it sent me in full reverse. I just plummeted. But I know that I'm capable of getting better, because I was better at one point. I stopped going to therapy because they discharged me. We all agreed that I was better. You know, I was able to go out on my own. I was able to socialise with strangers and make phone calls and go grocery shopping and go to Birmingham by myself. Seriously, I did that. Fast forward a couple of years and there we go. Straight downhill. So the lady, you know, she said that I need to get in therapy. She recommended some places that we could maybe go to. She recommended a type of therapy as well. Pardon me. Cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT. It's a type of therapy that I haven't been on before, but that she's, you know, sitting and she's listened to me for the past half hour. She's read my file, and she's decided that actually, I think that cognitive behavioural therapy is the way to go. So talk to your doctor about that. And here's some websites that you can go to, and so on. And she even recommended, like, if you can't get a physical therapist, like, because that requires going out, and we know what I'm like with going out, there are online options, you know, or phone calls that I can make and stuff like that. So I really appreciated that. I didn't think much of the lady that gave me the medical assessment for PIP. Obviously, she's only doing her job. But I feel like maybe they're overworked, because I feel like if she'd properly been listening to me and taking notes correctly and not getting confused and stuff, like, I wouldn't have had to go through the whole appeal process and having to sit in front of these 3 strangers who were neutral of the system. I feel like the woman doing the assessment was really just in a hurry and just wanting to just check or cross boxes, and it was very impersonal. It was very I don't know, it's hard to describe. If you've been to the PIP assessment, you know what I mean. I've been to a lot of medical assessments in my time, a lot, and hers was one of the most uncomfortable ones. Obviously, we've switched from disability living allowance to personal independence payment now, and the assessment is different to the DLA one, and you know, they're cracking down on fraud and everything. So, you know, and there are very specific boxes that you have to check. Like, they have you know, you could be severely autistic, or have that problem with your sugar levels, or that thing where you can't do flicking lights and stuff like that. Like, you could have fits and stuff, and you could still get a 0 because it doesn't. It needs to affect certain parts of your life, very specific parts of your life. So another top tip is, when they send you the application or the appeal or whatever, they send you a breakdown of all the things that get marked, the things that you're tested on. It's like being back at school, I think. I never went to school. And so you can go through that list and you can be like, okay, that one doesn't apply for me. Don't really need to bother with that. This here, that applies to me because, and then you fill that in. And that, you know, you're concentrating on the things that are specific to you and that can be included under those sections and those points. There are things in the application that are not particularly relevant, that you don't get graded on. Don't know why they're included. But they are. I guess they're just trying to sort of cover as much as possible. But you want to be concentrating on the specific bullet points. And because I think in my application I didn't know about that was being graded on certain things, and so I didn't cover things that I should have. Whereas at the point where we went to the tribunal, I think that's what it's called, with the 3 people, they had got their list, and it specifically said why. We'd all been provided with something that specifically said why I'd got 0 points. It's like, we think that you can manage your toilet needs, and we think that you can walk in a straight line for 200 meters without any fuss, and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I specifically, because I'd been over that, I was able to, because they sent me that list, I was able to go, okay, yes, technically I can walk in a straight line for 200 meters, but it's blooming painful. I need my prescription painkillers and my knee support and my walking stick. You know, so that list is super important. I'll probably put, like, I think I'll put the details in the description, because I don't know if it's available online. Oh, sorry. So I will put the list in the description so you know that you have everything covered. I really hope that you don't have to go through everything that I have been through in terms of the system. But I'm hoping that my points will help. That watching this video has helped, that you know, that you see that there is a light potentially at the end of that really long, scary, dark tunnel. And there is help available to you. You know, you can go to the Citizens Advice Bureau, for instance, will happily help you out. There are mental health charities, disability charities. You know, you can go to them as, like, if you're an autistic person, you can go to an autistic charity and ask them to represent you, you know, stuff like that. So, oh, hello, kitten. No, mummy's... okay, it's just... There's a cat being very forcefully affectionate right now. That's fine. Mummy was done anyway, I guess. So I hope that you found this very informative. And I'm quite positive as to where things are going to go from here. Obviously, the result was a win and a loss for me. Like, it was a win because I've now got more income and I've got this big back payment coming, and I can decide what to do with that will help me with my life and improve my living and improve my physical and mental state. But on the other hand, I am worse off than I've ever been. But that money should help fix that, I hope. Positive thinking, right? I like to think positive. I'm a very positive person. Difficult when you've been through what I've been through, but I do try. And I hope that you will try as well, because another thing is try and go in there positive. Like, don't go in there with a great big smile on your face, because then you look like you're faking it or whatever. But, you know, but don't go in there looking miserable either. Just be yourself. Just be honest. Have someone there that's representing you. So you don't have to do much of the talking, if possible. Or someone that is close to you, like a carer or a parent or a guardian or a partner, who can speak to what it is like to be around you on an everyday basis. And you're going to have to be okay with everything that they say. It's not easy to hear somebody talk about you and say, you know, oh, it's really difficult to take care of them and this is why. But it's necessary. It is a necessary evil. Besides, I would think that you and that person have already covered all that stuff yourselves. So, the end of a very, very stressful experience. It didn't need to be dragged out that much. If I knew the stuff that I now know, which I am passing to you, then I might not necessarily have needed to get to this point. That said, if the whole they get told to give zeros all the time thing is true, then those tips may not even help, and you may end up in front of the tribunal, same as I did. But the tribunal were effective, were very effective, very neutral. They don't get paid to mark zeros or whatever, you know. And as long as you're honest with them and you give them a timeline of everything and, you know, a breakdown of everything, and, you know, I really feel like you could pass, same as me, if you are genuinely disabled, obviously. So, good luck. Best blessings, all that jazz. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all the very, very best. I'm trying to smile. See this? It's my really yellow teeth. And kitty cat. Kitty cat. Kitty cat. Thanks for watching. Bye.